1 trillion yuan, up 38.7%. Import reached 3.86 trillion yuan, up 19.3%, resulting in a trade surplus of 759.29 billion yuan, a year-on-year increase of 690.6%. If we look into details, there are 5 main reasons for these changes. First, general trade of foreign trade increases proportion. In Q1 this year, 5.19 trillion yuan registered in general trade, increased by 32%, accounting for 61.2% of total foreign trade volume, and 1.3 percentage points higher than the same period last year. Export 2.97 trillion yuan, increased by 43.4%. Import 2.4 trillion yuan, up 20.8%. At the same time, processing trade registered 1.91 trillion yuan, up 22.5%, accounting for 22.6%. And second, look at the trade with the key partners. In Q1, trade with Asean, United States, Japan are the top 4 trading partners. The trade with ASEAN, European Union, America, and Japan registered 1.24 trillion yuan, 1.19 trillion yuan, 1.08 trillion yuan, and 561.42 billion yuan, up 26.1%, 36.4%, 61.3%, and 20.8% respectively. Besides, the export of products to the Belt and Road countries and RCEP traders increased by 21.4% and 22.9% respectively. Third, the foreign trade by private enterprises energized. In Q1, 3.59 trillion yuan registered by private sectors, increased by 42.7%, making up 46.7% of China's total foreign trade volume, and 4.4 percentage point higher than the same period last year, maintaining China's largest foreign trade entity. Export registered 2.55 trillion yuan, up by 50%. Import registered at 1.4 trillion yuan, up by 31%. Foreign invested enterprises registered 3.19 trillion yuan, up by 22.7% in foreign trade volume, marking up 37.7% of China's total foreign trade. Volume of state-owned enterprises, 1.28 trillion yuan, increased by 11%, taking up 15.2% of China's total foreign trade. Fourth, the export of electromechanical products exceeded 60% of China's total foreign trade. In Q1, the volume in these areas 2.78 trillion yuan, up by 43%, taking up 60.3% of China's total foreign trade, and 1.7 percentage point higher than the same period last year. Export of the automatic data processing and its part and components, cell phones, automobiles increased by 54.5%, 38.5%, 98.9% respectively. And meanwhile, the anti-epidemic materials also registered growth. Export of textile products, including facial masks, increased by 30.6%. Fifth, the commodities also registered growth in imports. In Q1, import of iron ore, 2.83 trillion tons, increased by 8%. Crude oils, 139,000 metric tons. Natural gas, 29,000,038, increased by 36%. At the same time, import of soybeans, 21 million, increased by 19%. Corn, 6.7 million metric tons, increased by 400%. Wheat, 2 million, increased by 131.2%. In general, since the start of this year, the foreign trade maintained a recovery in rebounds, seeing more positive factors to drive the growth. But at the same time, we should be also clearly aware that the COVID-19 pandemic is still ramping around the world. The world economy is still complex and grave, posing many instabilities and uncertainties in the international landscape. JACC will continue to follow the guidance of Xi Jinping's on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era, implement the guidance given by the Central Economic Work Conference, as well as the plans laid out by the Government Work Report, and we will pursue progress while maintaining stability, and also make sure that we will maintain the security in the 6 areas in order to ensure stability on the 6 front, and also do everything we can to implement all the working plans and to make sure that we have a good start in the 14th five-year plan in the development of foreign trade. And now I would like to answer your questions. Thank you very much. Now the floor is open to questions. Please identify your media outlet before raising questions. Thank you. With CMG CCTV, my question is, you mentioned about our foreign trade increase by 29.2%. So besides the quantity-wise, what do you think about the quality of this growth, and what the actual measures we will have to further boost the quality growth of foreign trade? Thank you. Thank you for your question. In my opening remarks, I just introduced a Q1 number of China's import and export. Judging from the numbers, it was quite a good start. That's also the result of the domestic and international factors. From all these numbers, we also have seen that the improvement in the quantity and quality of a foreign trade. First, we've seen the further vitality of private sectors. In Q1, the number for private sectors increased 13.5 percentage point, or 13.5 percentage point higher than the average of foreign trade, becoming the driving force of foreign trade. Home appliance, computers, medical equipment, and medicines exported by private sectors all increased by 70%. import of metal ore, iron ore, cosmetics registered 50% in terms of growth. Second, we look at the central and the western part of China. They also showed a good performance. In Q1 2021, central and the western part of China registered 1.5 trillion yuan in foreign trade, a growth of 45.1%, 15.9 percentage point higher than the China's foreign trade volume, taking up the proportion to 17.8%, 2 percentage point higher than the same period last year. We also have seen a more balanced domestic landscape, demonstrating the advantage leveraged by the central and the western part of China, also transferring the industries to these regions. Third, we look at the trade with the countries from along the Belt and Road more intensified. With China further opening up, we expand our circle of friends, especially the trade and economic cooperation with countries from the Belt and Road areas also increased, further enlarging our pie. In Q1, the export with these countries registered 2.5 trillion yuan, up by 21.4 to Vietnam, Indonesia, Portland. The export and import registered faster growth. Fourth, we also have seen that the platform actually played a key role in driving the growth in a quality manner. The comprehensive bounded zones registered growth of 41.1%. The pilot areas also registered 28.1%. The Hainan duty-free areas registered 162.5% of growth. The proportion of general trade increased by 1.3 percentage point compared to the same period last year. The export of electronic products also exceeded 60% of foreign trade volumes. All these numbers give us a sense of a domestic landscape, international landscape, foreign trade modes, structure of export and import products all further improved. The quality of foreign trade also have seen a big improvement step by step. Regarding your second question, what kind of measures we will take to further boost quality development? GACC implement the decisions made by the CPC Central Committee and State Council, maintain security in the 6 areas in order to ensure stability on the 6 fronts. We work on and consolidate the results in preventing and controlling the COVID-19 while boosting the foreign trade. We also will do everything we can to boost a quality development of foreign trade, and we will do the following. First, we'll continue to focus on the COVID-19 prevention and control at ports. And we will further implement all the measures against imported cases, make sure that we will do the checking work as the first gate to protect people's life. Second, we'll continue to improve the business environment at the ports. The GACC will further improve the services and give more powers. And this year, we also started another new round of the specific campaign in facilitating cross-border e-commerce and also rolling out to all ports in order to facilitate the clearance at the port and also shorten the time needed for the clearance. Third, we continue to build the high-quality platforms. GECC gave its full support to the establishment of a Hainan Free Trade Port, and we will also implement all the measures and policies in place in the comprehensive bound zones. Fourth, we will also to find new, fresh ways. We will focus on the systematic improvement and also prioritize the new pilot projects, and also look at the integrated improvements across the board in the systems. And we'll also have the pilot projects in the B2B cross-border e-commerce projects, and also have the nationwide overseas warehouses. Make sure that we can boost a healthy development of cross-border e-commerce. Thank you. Thank you. Cover news. So the RCEP came into effect, and what kind of the preparation work have done by GACC, and when this RCEP came into effect, what kind of impact to the foreign trade in terms of structure? Thank you very much. Let me give you the updated number first. In Q1 2021, the total value of China's import and export to the other 14 RCEP countries was 2.67 trillion yuan, climbing 22.9% year-on-year and accounting for 31.5% of China's total imports and export during the same period. Export accounted for 2.15 trillion yuan, increase of 2%, while imports increased 19%. In terms of trading partners, the trade to Asean, Japan, ROK increased by 26.1%, 20.8%, and 19.5% respectively. In terms of exported goods, exports of electromechanical products reached 60 million yuan, increase of 28.7%, accounting for 53% of the total value of export to RCEP countries. Among them, export integrated circuits accounted for 7.8 billion yuan, 770 billion yuan, and automotive data processing equipment, an increase of the 25%. The export of textile increased by 27.9%. In terms of imported goods, imports of integrated circuits 262.47 billion yuan, up by 11.2%. Iron ore 164.79 billion metric tons, up by 26%. Consumption goods 121 billion yuan. Automotive data processing equipment under parts and components 42.95 billion yuan, up 20.2%. Plastics in primary force were 42.17 billion yuan. And talking about the preparation work for the day of RCEP coming into effect, actually we have a specific press conference here to introduce the AR details, so I will not repeat. Next question, please. China News Agency. Right now, the COVID-19 is still ramping around the world. Regarding the prevention and control of imported case, what measures have you taken in this area? Thank you for your question. Since the outbreak of the COVID-19, the GACC has implemented the key guidance and spirit made by General Secretary Xi Jinping, putting the COVID-19 prevention and control as the top priority and strictly implement the measures to prevent the imported cases, build a solid guard at the port. First, we'll do everything we can to conduct the quarantine work at the ports. The customs practice is 3+3+1 practice. For all the imported passengers, they will all go through the 2 stops of the temperature measuring, the epidemiological investigation, the testings, and also transfer to the quarantine areas. The people from the medium and high risk areas and their vehicles were 100% disinfected, and they will also be quarantined in the designated places. And we will also conduct the PCR plus antibody testing to make sure that we will find the cases at an early time and also practice our 4 earliest measures. And second, we will also conduct the food chain monitoring. So that means that we will work internally and also work externally with other departments, such as the aviation departments, and to issue the authorized certificate of the PCR and also the other and terminal management, and work with the localities to implement the testing, transferring, treatment, quarantine, the obtain at the quarantine places. So from the overseas to the gate of the nation to the door of each household, that'll be our whole chain management. And third, we will also strengthen our measures in the COVID-19 progress, and we will also make the timely judgment on the COVID-19 changes. In Q1 2021, we issued 3 alarms and 2 times of the risk alarming, and for the other disease like Ebola and other infectious disease. And we also educated our people, had them equipped full knowledge of the infectious disease and also provide service to the international passengers. Fourth, and we will also practice our disease prevention and control to people and goods. For the cold chain products and products from the risk areas, they will have the disinfections at the ports. We need to guarantee the safety of the imported products and also at the same time increase the efficiency of clearance. Make sure there's no big pileup at the ports and also the stability of the industrial and supply chains globally. Going forward, we'll put a close eye on the dynamic change of COVID-19, make timely study on the imported situation of COVID-19, and make sure we'll practice the COVID-19 prevention and control on a regular basis in order to effectively prevent the imported cases. Thank you. Thank you. With CNBC, I have 2 questions. The first one regards to cross-border e-commerce. So what proportion it takes up in the Q1, and any further details that which country or what kind of products, any details you would like to elaborate. And my second question regards to the factors behind in terms of driving the growth of foreign trade, and also your expectation on anti-epidemic products foreign trade. Thank you very much. The cross-border e-commerce as a new model of trade actually continued its momentum, becoming one of the key pillars to drive the growth of foreign trade. In Q1, cross-border e-commerce import-export registered 419.5 billion yuan, up 46.5% year-on-year. Exports registered 280.8 billion yuan, increased by 69%. Import increased by 15.1%. GCC will work with the relevant departments to improve the supervision, to give the full support to the cross-border e-commerce in a healthy and sustainable manner. To your second questions, I have already shown you the factors in my opening. Thank you. So what's your take on the shortage of the exports facilities? Because of the pandemic, transportation, especially the maritime transportation, actually also saw the fluctuations in the freight and also the price. The GCC worked closely with relevant departments to keep a close eye on the international trade, especially marine transport. And we will work to issue policies to boost a healthy development of foreign trade. Thank you. It's Economic Daily. Judging from the Q1 number, ASEAN continued to be a top trader with China. Could you please elaborate in details and also any new highlights in the bilateral trade? Thank you. In Q1, export to ASEAN registered 2.24 trillion yuan, up 26.1%, accounting for 14.7% of total foreign trade. Exports registered 683.47 billion yuan, up 27.7%. Import 560.6 billion yuan, up 24.3%, making ASEAN still the largest trader with China. So there are three regions. First, a benefit of the upgraded comprehensive bounded zones further boosted, bringing the cooperation and bilateral trade to a new high. And the China-ASEAN free trade zone established. More than 700 items canceled its tariff. October 2019, China-ASEAN free trade zone agreement came into effect to all the relevant partners for the policies, the trade in services, trade investment, also further lowered the threshold, which also giving the positive factors to the bilateral trade. In Q1, import-export to Singapore just slowed a little bit, but to other 9 countries, all registered double-digit growth in imports and exports. To Vietnam, Malaysia, Indonesia grows by 37.8%, 24%, 28.7%, and 32.2% respectively, driving 22.6% of growth in terms of bilateral trade. And we will further our cooperation in anti-epidemic to stabilize our industrial and supply chain. Since the outbreak of COVID-19, in order to deal with the impact brought by COVID-19, we work hand in hand with the Asean countries to fight against COVID-19, with Singapore, Laos, Myanmar, Indonesia established the channels for people and grain channel for goods, and also direct flight with Vietnam, and also discussed proactively to establish a fast pass and a green pass. With all these measures introduced, it's conducive to stabilize the industrial chain and supply chain, as well as the trade among all the members. Third, the Western regions and ASEAN countries work together to establish a new maritime channel and also a route for road. In 2017, there's just 1 route available. Right now, we have 6 routes available. We run 1 train before. Right now, we have 10 trains operated every day. This new route from the western region of China to ASEAN countries realized the fast connection, also tapping into the potential of our trade. In Q1, the 14 regions in western regions, export and imports to ASEAN countries increased by 30.5%, driving import and export to ASEAN countries by 4.6%. Talking about the highlights, there are 3 highlights. First, we look at the further leverage of the potential of commodities. We see further growth of domestic needs and the upgraded of the consumption structure. The agricultural products and also other products actually are in great demand in China from ASEAN. In Q1, the import of consumption goods increased by 30.6%. Second, we further strengthened our cooperation fighting against COVID-19. So this not only provided positive factors to the block development and also boost the anti-epidemic materials exports. In Q1, we export textile, including mask, medical equipment, and the medicines of 48.99 billion and 33.2 billion yuan increased by 20% and 104.8%. Third, we're also seeing the speed up of the cooperation in energy resources. And we have seen a big progress and remarkable growth in the import of energy. The natural gas 8.85 billion yuan, up by 31.6%. From Asean, 17.5 percentage point faster the overall import of energy resources from Asean. Thank you. 海报 .com. So we have seen the export to the key trading partners and also the countries along the Belt Road registered the positive growth. What's the reason behind, and what kind of the new measures the GACC will take to further boost the quality development of foreign trade? Thank you for your question. Since 2013, initiative of the Belt and Road Initiative, we have seen a steady growth with countries along the Belt and Road. Last year, because of the hit by COVID-19, China and the countries along the route worked together to prevail over the hard time, and also we registered good progress in foreign trade. In Q1, the export to the Belt and Road Initiative countries registered 2.5 trillion yuan, 21.4% growth year on year, taking up 29.5% of total foreign trade. Export 1.4 trillion yuan, up 28.6%. Import 1.09 trillion yuan, up 13.2%. The export-import with certain countries in the bloc have seen the fast growth. To Vietnam, Thailand, Indonesia increased by 37.8%, 28.7%, and 32.2% respectively. To Portland, Turkey, Ukraine, Israel increased by 48.4%, 37.3%, 41.7%, 29.5% respectively. More importantly, China-Europe freight played a key role in boosting the cooperation. By rail, our export to these countries increased remarkably by 61.4%. Taking this opportunity, I also would like to introduce the work made by GACC in order to boost high-quality foreign trade, mainly in the following three areas. First, we fully boost the practice of key areas. General Secretary Xi proposed that a smart custom, smart port, smart connectivity, these are the three key initiatives. The GACC studied in details and implemented the guidance made by General Secretary Xi and also work out our plans. Currently, we further implement these policies, focusing on the integrated systems and also increase the efficacy of supervision. At the same time, we also worked with international organizations as well as the countries from European areas to roll out and discuss our campaigns and initiatives in order to realize the digital connectivity as well as the safety of foreign trade and also to contribute Chinese wisdom in this regard. Second, we also work out a plan in the GACC territories to further carry out the 14th five-year plan. This year is the first year to implement 14th five-year plan, and we also worked on the high-quality development of GACC, and we follow the question-oriented and focus on the key areas, key regions, So we focus on the overall progress while also with our key priorities in order to create the pace setters in our work. Third, we also intensified our efforts in boosting China-Europe freights. We established the China-Kazakhstan railway agreement, marking the implementation of this initiative and also drawing the neighborhoods to join. The China with Belarus agreement also achieved a key progress. We have reached the consensus. We'll sign the agreement in due course. Thank you. So this is the answer to your question regarding the matters of how we can support the high-quality development of foreign trade. Due to the interest of time, one last question from Xinhua News Agency, please. Thank you very much. Ms. Li, you just mentioned that we registered a quite fast growth in Q1. So you're focused this year. You think we will keep this momentum, or what kind of momentum is in your prediction? And primarily, recently in different meetings that we should judge the economic performance from a year-on-year and also month-on-month perspective in an objective and rational manner. So how we can compare the Q1 numbers year-on-year and also month-on-month fashion? And my last question, in order to guarantee the unprecedented flow of the industrial chain, supply chain, and people, what kind of measures you will take? Thank you. To your first question, indeed, as you mentioned, Q1 economic performance in foreign trade actually registered a remarkable progress. We suffered the impact hit by COVID-19. Compared the same time period to 2019, the growth of Q1 this year registered 20.5%. China's foreign trade maintained the positive growth continued from last year, making a good start of this year's quality development of foreign trade, as because of the several reasons in the following areas. First, international landscape play a key role to boost China's development in trade in goods. With more people vaccinated, this laid a solid foundation for economic recovery. Starting from this year, the manufacturing sector also seeing a good recovery. In March, United States, the European area, and the PMI increased by 40.6%, 42%, and 52.2%. Hitting the new high in the timeline of the June 1997 and November of 2018. The European Union, the United States, Japan, the combined number increased by 48.5%, contributing 44.2% of China's total foreign trade. We have also noticed, and in recent time, the key international economic organizations who upgrade their focus. For example, the IMF also increased the world economic growth to 6% from 5.5% in January. WTO, the trade in goods and the growth of foreign trade in goods increased from 7.2% to 8%, which all demonstrate the market sentiment in the world economic recovery. Second, the continuously improvement of China's foreign trade also improved the confidence. We have seen the recovery in manufacturing, the confidence of the market, and all the numbers are back in the growth expectations. The number issued by the NHC, the PMI, continued to above the 50% mark in 13 consecutive months. The new orders also above that 50% mark. The manufacturing sectors showed a good momentum in recovery that also drive the fast import of the tele-consumption integrated circuits. So the Q1 number import of 155.27 billion increased by 33.6%. Crude oil also increased. Copper increased by 11.7%. The policies in place to prevent and control COVID-19 and boost economic and social development all played its role. Not only drive the recovery of domestic economy, also boost international economic growth. So this year, the Chinese New Year, many people in the manufacturing sector choose to stay at where they were, and also the key provinces with the foreign trade records, like Guangdong, they also choose not to stop manufacturing. They also play a key role. The month on month reached 25% of growth. So 16.8% and 35.2% registered month on month growth in the general and in the imports and exports. In the United States and other key major economies practice the quantity easing. We have seen the price of commodities keep increasing. As of March, the price of metal ore increased. The iron ore also increased, and the number for metal ore also increased for 11 consecutive months. The price of commodities also increased in 4 consecutive months. The price increased by 53.5%, 28.7%, and 11.1% respectively. The price of crude oil in March increased by 21.6%, putting a stop to the decline in the 11 consecutive months. Talking about the year-on-year and month-on-month momentum. Since Q3 last year, the foreign trade in the 3 consecutive quarters maintained a positive growth. We believe in the coming period, this momentum could be maintained, but the actual momentum will be under our close monitoring. The COVID-19 pandemic is still ups and downs, posing the uncertainties and stabilities in the global landscape. And due to the recent years, we have seen an unexpected block in Suez Canal that also imposed uncertainties to the international landscape. 16.8% increase in the Q1 this year compared to last year. And because the base number last year is quite low, but that also imposed further challenges to Q2 numbers this year. We have seen more the positive factors to drive the growth, but also we have seen the many challenges in the international landscape. So that's also a hard course for us to maintain this momentum. As you mentioned about the month-on-month growth momentum, Q1 this year, 29.9% as the year-on-year growth. If compared to 2018-2019, increased by 25.3% and 20.5% respectively. Q1 compared to last year Q4, the number dropped by 21.7%. The export dropped 12.3%, import increased by 0.1%. We also need to mention that Q1 is because of the Chinese New Year holiday. The size of the imports and exports is comparatively low compared to the level of Q4 last year. This is normal. 2016 to 2020, Q1 import-export month-on-month all showed a double-digit decline. Q1 this year have seen the lowest one. It also showed a good momentum in recovery. Thank you. Thank you very much. That's the end of today's press conference. So we'd like to let you know, starting from today, the CIO will continue to organize a press conference, this routine press conference on China's Q1 economic standing. So please stay tuned. We will give you more details regarding China economic performance. Thank you very much.